My dear friends in truth, my fellow seekers on the path, I welcome you not as students to a teacher, but as companions on a sacred journey into the heart of revelation. For centuries, these 5 words have echoed through the halls of religion, philosophy, and scripture. In the beginning was the Word. We have read them, we have heard them, and we have perhaps believed we understood them. But I ask you today, have we ever truly heard them? Have we ever allowed them to penetrate beyond the intellect, to shatter our preconceived notions of a God out there, and to reveal the unspeakable, dynamic, and creative power that they truly signify? The master metaphysician, Joel S. Goldsmith, did not come to give us a new theology to believe in, but to unveil a forgotten science to demonstrate. He taught that this word is not a thing spoken in a distant past, but the eternal, vibrantly alive logos, the very activity of God, the divine utterance of I am, which is the substance and reality of your being and mine at this very moment. We are about to journey together beyond the veil of the letter into the spirit of this greatest of mysteries. We will uncover why understanding this word is not an academic exercise, but the very key that unlocks the door to your own divine sonship, your oneness with the Father, and your ability to live a life of effortless grace and spiritual power. So, prepare now to have the foundation of your spiritual understanding shaken to its core, so that a new and eternal structure of truth may be revealed where the temple of human thought once stood. And if the light of this revelation begins to dawn within you, if a new sense of peace and possibilities stirs in your heart, I invite you to join our growing spiritual community, as like this video, to signal your inner readiness for this truth. Comment with the symbolic number 7 to represent the perfection and completion of this divine principle in your own life, and subscribe to continue this journey from the letter that kills to the spirit that makes alive. For what we are about to uncover is nothing less than the secret of creation itself, waiting silently within you, and the question that remains is, are you truly ready to listen? Of course. Here is the expansion of your first keynote, continuing directly from the flow of the introduction and written in the prescribed style. We have, for too long, approached that majestic statement, "In the beginning was the Word," as if it were a historical account, a divine report of a singular event that happened once, long ago, in a realm far removed from our own. We have treated the Word as a noun, a thing, a static entity, perhaps the Bible, or a specific command like, "Let there be light." But, my friends, this is the great misapprehension that has kept this mystery hidden. The truth that Revelation unveils is that the Word is not a noun at all, it is a verb. It is the active, creative, and eternally emanating activity of God. This is the foundational shift in consciousness that must take place. When you begin to perceive the Word as the very moving, breathing, living activity of the infinite invisible, the entire Scripture opens itself to you. This activity is not something God used to do, it is what God is eternally as doing. It is the perpetual outflow of His own being, the ceaseless expression of His own nature as life, as love, as intelligence, as substance. This divine activity is the Logos, the bridge between the unmanifest, absolute Father and the world of form and experience. It is the divine ray emanating from the divine Son, not separate from it, but the very means by which the sun expresses its light and warmth. To believe the Word is a noun is to relegate God to a past creator and ourselves to distant, disconnected subjects. But to know it as a verb is to realize that creation is a continuous, ongoing, and intimate event, and that you and I are not merely witnesses to it, but are in truth formed within this very activity. Your life, your consciousness, your being are not your own private possessions, they are the localized, individualized expression of this one universal divine verb. Your capacity to think, to love, to be aware, this is not personal intellect or emotion. This is the Logos in action, as you. The Word is not something you read on a page, it is the I am that reads. It is the living Christ, the Son of God, articulating itself as your individual experience. This understanding moves us from the realm of theology into the science of being. A noun can be studied, defined, and filed away. A verb demands participation. You do not study a verb, you express it, you are active in it. To know the word as a verb is to understand that your primary relationship with God is not one of petition, but of manifestation. You are not a sinner begging a distant king for favors. You are the very place where the divine activity is happening. Your role is not to create, but to let this divine creativity flow through you, unhindered by the doubts and judgments of the personal, carnal mind. When you still that mind in meditation, when you turn within to the secret place of the Most High, what you are actually doing is becoming consciously aware of this eternal verb, this divine activity, which is already and always being spoken within you. You are not summoning God, you are becoming silent enough to hear the God that is already and eternally speaking your world into being. This is the great awakening, to realize that the Word was not just in the beginning, but is in this very moment, and in this one, articulating the fullness of the kingdom of heaven as the substance of your present experience. This realization that the Word is a living verb, not a dead noun, immediately shatters the container in which human thought has tried to confine it. If we mistake this divine activity for a specific set of syllables, a particular scripture, or a singular command like, "Let there be light," we have merely exchanged one limitation for another. We have simply swapped a small, personal God for a slightly larger, yet still finite, concept. The word as logos cannot be bound by any specific form, for it is the very substance out of which all form is conceived. It is the unconditioned, the unqualified, the impartially emanating life of God. It is the silent, potent, and causeless force that precedes all manifestation. To hear a specific word, even a sacred one, is to hear an effect. But to become conscious of the logos is to become one with the cause itself. This is the critical distinction between the letter of truth and the spirit of truth. The letter, the specific teaching or scripture, can point toward the ocean, but it is not the ocean itself. The logos is the ocean, the vast, boundless, what impersonal medium of divine expression. It does not favor one teaching over another, for it is the life within all genuine teachings. It does not flow only through one channel, for it is the very water that makes a channel a channel. When we personalize this truth, we make it small. We create a God of our own understanding, a comfortable idol that conforms to our theology, our preferences, and our sense of righteousness. But the logos, in its majestic impartiality, is the rain that falls on the just and the unjust. It is the intelligence that forms the rose and the star. It is the life that animates the saint and the so-called sinner, for it knows nothing of these human judgments. Its sole function is to express the limitless nature of its source. This understanding liberates us from the tyranny of the personal sense of life, which is the root of all suffering. The personal mind is obsessed with specifics: my health, my wealth, my success, my salvation. It prays to a God it conceives of as a separate entity, begging for specific outcomes, for favors, for interventions in a world it perceives as real. But when we turn within and make contact with the logos, we are not contacting a being who dispenses favors. We are merging with the infinite, creative principle that is already and always expressing itself as harmony, wholeness, and perfection. We are not asking for a healing. We are sinking into the very activity that is life itself, allowing it to repattern any appearance of disease, which is merely a temporary congealing of thought that has lost its awareness of this eternal flow. The healing occurs not because a distant God heard our plea, but because our consciousness shifted from the appearance of sickness to the reality of the ever-unfolding, harmonious divine activity. Our work, then, is to withdraw our faith from the outer appearance and from a God out there, and to place our entire confidence in this invisible, impersonal, and ever-available verb, knowing that as we do, our experience must reorganize itself to bear witness to the perfection it is forever articulating. And so, we come to the most intimate and transformative implication of this truth. If this divine activity is indeed the unconditioned, impersonal, and ceaselessly emanating life of God, then it cannot be something separate from the very ground of our own being. It is not a power we must beseech from a distance, but the very substance and reality of what you are, right here, right now, prior to any thought, any label, any personal history. This logos, this living verb of God, is the very I am-Ness at the center of your consciousness. It is the silent, knowing awareness behind your every thought, the animating principle behind your every breath, your sense of I am, that most fundamental and irreducible knowing that you exist, is not a personal possession. It is the localized, individualized expression of the one universal I am. You are not a human being having an occasional spiritual experience. You are this divine activity, this individualized Christ, having a human experience. This is the great mystery revealed, that your true identity is not the character in the play, with all its dramas and traumas, but the very stage upon which the play appears, the personal I that you have believed yourself to be, the I that is afraid, that lacks, that strives and fails, is a construct, a mirage superimposed upon the radiant reality of the I am that you are. The journey of spiritual awakening is not one of building a better, more spiritual personal self. It is the process of dying to that illusion, of letting the personal sense of I dissolve back into the infinite I am from which it falsely claimed separation. When you say, I am healthy, you are not making a statement about a body. You are, in that moment of spiritual realization, aligning your consciousness with the truth that the I am, which is your life, is by its very nature the activity of wholeness. When you declare, I am abundant, you are not affirming a bank account, you are acknowledging that the I am, as the very substance of all form, cannot know lack. This is why the mystics and masters have always taught the path of going within. It is not an escape from the world, but a journey to the source of the world. When you close your eyes to the five-sense testimony of a life lived apart from God, and you turn your attention to the pure, unadorned sense of being, the simple, powerful, I am that I am, you are not engaging in solipsism or fantasy. You are making conscious contact with the creative fiat of the universe. You are standing at the very juncture where the unformed becomes form, where the invisible becomes visible. In that sacred silence, you are not a man or a woman praying to God. You are the Son, the Christ, abiding in conscious union with the Father, and you come to know, with a certainty that transcends all intellectual understanding, that the Father and I are one. From this place of conscious oneness, your life ceases to be a struggle and becomes a spontaneous unfolding of grace, where your needs are met before you even form them as a request, because the very activity that is God is the activity that is you, perpetually fulfilling itself in, as, and through your experience. This conscious union with the I am necessarily reorients our entire understanding of time and creation itself. If our true self is the eternal activity of God, then the beginning, spoken of in Scripture, cannot be confined to a distant, chronological event. To place it in the past is to remain trapped in the linear stream of the personal mind, which can only conceive of a reality that unfolds in a sequence of yesterdays, todays, and tomorrows. But the beginning is a present and continuous reality. It is the ever-unfolding now, the eternal point of origin from which the Logos perpetually springs forth. There is no past from which God spoke, and no future toward which His word is traveling. There is only the eternal, dynamic, and causeless now, in which the fullness of the Godhead is actively and completely expressing itself. You are not living your life on a timeline, moving away from a beginning and toward an end. You are, in your true nature, centered in this everlasting beginning, this always new point of creation where the word is forever being spoken. This is not a philosophical abstraction, but the most practical truth you will ever embody. The sense of a past, with its burdens of guilt, regret, and inherited limitation, and the anxiety of a future, with its shadows of fear and uncertainty, are artifacts of the personal sense of life, which lives in the illusion of time. They have no substance in the reality of the eternal now, where the I Am resides. When you are troubled by a memory or fearful of an outcome, you have fallen asleep to the beginning, and have believed yourself to be a character adrift in time. The awakening is to return in this very instant to the now, to this continuous beginning. It is here and only here that the creative power of the word is operative. It is not that your past is healed in the now. In the reality of the now, there is no past to be healed. There is only the pristine, unconditioned activity of life, expressing itself anew in this moment, and this one, and this one. The world of appearance, with all its problems and complexities, is like a dream occurring within this timeless now. The dream seems to have a sequence, a history, and a future, but the one dreaming, the I Am, exists in an eternal present. Your work is to awaken within the dream, to remember your identity as the dreamer, not the figure in the dream. From that standpoint, you do not fight the shadows of the past or future. You simply bring the light of your present awareness to them, and in that light, their illusory substance vanishes. You stop trying to fix a life you think you have lived and start embodying the life that you are, here and now. The problems that seemed so monumental are revealed as patterns of thought, and you discover that you are not at the effect of them, for you are the consciousness in which they are appearing. This is the great liberations, to step out of the stream of time and take your stand in the eternal beginning, where the word is forever new, and where your world is forever being created from the unconditioned substance of the I Am. This profound shift from a life adrift in time to one anchored in the eternal now is not merely a change in perspective. It is the very revelation of your own Christhood. To realize that the Word, the Logos, is the substance of your I Am, and that you dwell in the continuous beginning, is to understand the true meaning of the Son of God. The Christ is not a person who lived 2,000 years ago. That was Jesus, or the individual who so completely embodied this truth that he became its perfect transparency. The Christ is the universal, spiritual identity of every individual. It is your true self, the I Am that you are, when it is recognized as one with the Father. This is the only begotten Son, not born of flesh and blood, but begotten of the Father alone, as the eternal emanation of his own being. Your sonship is not a future state to be earned, but a present and eternal fact to be recognized. You are not becoming the Christ. You are ceasing to identify with the illusion that you are not. This revelation is the ultimate dissolution of the sense of separation, which is the root of all sin, disease, and death. Sin is not a moral transgression against a set of rules. It is the belief in a selfhood apart from God. It is the arrogant, yet pitiable, declaration of the personal I, that it lives and operates by its own power and wisdom. Disease is the external evidence of this inner belief in separation, a congestion in the flow of the divine activity where the personal sense has claimed ownership of a body and its conditions. Death is the final and logical conclusion of a life that believed it began in time and must therefore end in time. But when the revelation of your Christhood dawns, you see that there never was a separate self to sin, a mortal body to sicken, or a life that could truly die. There is only the one I Am, the one Christ, expressing itself in infinite, individual forms, yet forever one with its source. To know this is to be saved from the nightmare of separation. Salvation is not a pardon from an angry deity, it is the awakening from a dream. It is the moment your consciousness shifts from the man of earth, the limited, personal sense of self, to the Son of God who has been there all along. From this elevated state of consciousness, you do not live your life. The Father lives his life as you. Your thoughts become the expression of the divine wisdom, your actions the manifestation of the divine will, and your very presence a healing influence, not because you are doing anything, but because you are being what you are, a transparency for the unconditioned love that is God. The struggles of the personal life, the striving to be good, to be healthy, to be successful, fall away not through inertia, but because they are replaced by the effortless grace of a life being lived from within. You are no longer a seeker of truth, you are the very place where truth is occurring. The responsibility for your life is lifted from your shoulders and returned to its rightful place in the Father, and you find yourself an witness to the miracle of your own existence as it is perpetually sustained, guided, and fulfilled by the infinite Word that declared you into being. This recognition of your true identity as the Christ, the Son abiding in perpetual union with the Father, brings us to the final and most practical aspect of this entire revelation. For this is not a truth to be believed, but a conscious union to be demonstrated and lived. The ultimate purpose of this teaching is not to furnish the intellect with a more satisfying theology, but to bring about a radical transformation in your lived experience. Truth is not a concept to be agreed with, it is a reality to be embodied, a substance to be woven into the very fabric of your daily existence. The proof of this pudding is in the eating. The value of knowing that the Word is a verb, that it is your I am, and that you are the Christ, is evidenced only by the tangible fruit it produces, a life of increasing harmony, freedom, and spontaneous right action. To believe is to accept something as true with the mind. To demonstrate is to have that truth become so alive in your consciousness that it actively reshapes your world. You may believe that fire is hot, but you only know it when you feel its warmth. In the same way, you may believe that God is love, but you only know it when that divine love flows through you as compassion for a friend or forgiveness for an enemy, without any personal effort on your part. This is demonstration. It is the Word made flesh in your experience. It is when the peace that you have acknowledged as a spiritual principle becomes a palpable, unshakable serenity in the midst of outer chaos. It is when the abundance you have understood as divine substance manifests as an unexpected provision at the moment of need. Demonstration is not the personal mind manipulating spiritual laws to get what it wants. It is the natural, inevitable consequence of a consciousness that has become so aligned with the Logos that it becomes a clear channel for its expression. Therefore, the entirety of the spiritual journey is the shift from a theoretical understanding to an actual embodiment. Meditation, prayer, and contemplation are not rituals to be performed, they are the laboratories where this embodiment takes place. When you sit in the silence, you are not seeking to contact a distant God. You are practicing the art of letting the personal, striving I recede into the background so that the I am, the living Word, may come to the foreground of your awareness and assume its rightful governance. You are not doing anything, you are as yielding. You are creating the space for the verb to verb, for the activity to act, for the Father to perform His own good work. And as you rise from that silence, you carry that atmosphere of yieldedness with you into the marketplace. You are no longer the actor on the stage, anxiously trying to remember your lines. You have become the instrument through which the music of the spheres is played. Your life ceases to be a problem to be solved and becomes a demonstration to be witnessed, a continuous, unfolding revelation of the kingdom of heaven realized on earth. This is the fruit of the Spirit. This is the evidence of the Christ in you, not as a hope of glory, but as the present and active reality of your being.